What's up, everyone? Who that is? So glad everybody's back again, having a listen, keeping up with First 15 Rugby. It's been a pretty good week, especially with First 15 Rugby and the way it's gone. Been watching a lot of games. I've seen so many games just over this past week, and I still kind of haven't finished them. Sometimes I try and watch two at a time. Just so many hours that go into it. Even when I got back late last night, or the night before, trying to watch my Chiefs and then watch the rugby and then watch another game and then do the rankings and all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. Like, I try and watch two games at a time and then keep the sound on both, so wherever the most cheers come from, I kind of look at both of them and then have a look. And then during the week, that's when I start trying to cut down and then watch specific players at a time. So that's kind of how I do it too. Like, I watch both games and then whatever pops out at me first, I kind of see that stuff. And that's just so I can get over the games during the weekend. And then throughout the week, I watch all the games that came through the weekend. And then I sort of slow it down and sort of try and do it frame by frame. Or if there's like a player that I want to look at more, then I try and go through that and then sort of slow down the footage, and then just kind of watch that player by himself and just sort of, I guess, exit everybody else out of the frame. And then most of the time I see other players at the same time even though I'm watching just one player, I'll see someone else do something that's a little, and then I sort of take note of it. And so that's kind of how I do my my scouting and stuff. Because I don't have someone doing my, media engineering and stuff like that, I can't get them to cut footage of just one player. And so I can just watch one player, just focus on them. The kind of how it's done for, I guess, rep selections and stuff like that. That's kind of how they do it, is where they get someone just goes and cuts all the footage just off that one player, so they don't have to watch 3 games. Like, I'm trying to recruit and scout everybody, so I kind of watch the game and then sort of take notes from there. I have my book of notes somewhere around here, but yeah, it's just got heaps of little, like, a lot of you guys won't understand it because my writing's terrible at the same time, but I just make little notes of players and numbers on their backs and things like that. And but I think I've already, since the beginning of this week, I've watched the Whanganui Collegiate game against Rafka. I've watched that one. I've watched Scots and Upper Hutt. I've watched obviously the Hamilton Boys, New Plymouth, and the Rotorua one as well. I've seen half of the St. Thomas game against Selwyn Schools. I went and watched Kelston. I've seen Kings. I've seen the Kings game. I've seen the Hastings game. I've seen bits and pieces of the St. Peter's game, bits and pieces of the St. Paul's game. I've seen the Napier game. I've seen the Silverstream game. I've seen bits and pieces of Sacred Heart. I've seen the Scots Rongotai game, the Christ College game. So I've seen like all these games, and I've still got a few more to watch, like especially the Manurua and Westlake game as well. I've watched too, and then I've watched a little bit of the Rosemary Massey game that was given to me. And so like I've gone through a lot of games already, and this is just over the last 2.5 days or so. So to sort of tick that off the box that I've watched them, I've done that, and then sort of taken all the easy to see stuff, and then throughout this week, as during the day and then at night, and I'll just chip away at different games and then slow things down, and I'll go back and forth, and yeah, just kind of do my scouting that way, and just watch for like certain things, and that's kind of how I get my team of the week as well, which I've got going down too. But yeah, like it's been a really cool week. My Jazz lost, which really sucks, but my Chiefs won, so that's pretty cool. The Warriors lost too, so I don't know. Warriors can be give and take sometimes, even though that's our only team for league. But yeah, my Jazz are winning. My Chargers look great in the OTAs. BYU football is going to be starting up too, with LSU and Alabama, Oregon. College football is coming out, all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. And my calendar's always full with sports, and so I love sports. So any questions that you want on sports, especially with American sports. I'm pretty hard out into that kind of stuff. Izzy won as well, which was great. And so, yeah, I was hoping Izzy would knock him out, to be honest. I want Izzy to knock out everyone. I really do. And I still want him to go upper class one, go back to the heavier level and see what he can do again. But, yeah, it's pretty cool. So we'll get through some games. We'll start off with the two that I watched on Thursday ones, right? Because I went to the Hamilton Boys New Plymouth one, and I saw the Rotorua and Tauranga one. To me, in all honesty, this is where New Plymouth should have won. I tell you guys all the time that if you want to beat Hamilton Boys, it's pretty much at the beginning of the year, and if no one beats them, then they won't lose. They won't lose the rest of the year, and they'll probably win nationals, or they'll lose in the top 4. They never really lose past that kind of stuff. It just doesn't really happen. So I think New Plymouth had one of those games where they could have won and probably should have won. When they started off with the 2 tries almost straight away, Hamilton Boys, I just thought, okay, this is going to be the normal New Plymouth Hamilton Boys matchup where Hamilton Boys pretty much just run the show and then, drop 30 points on them. And so, I don't know, after about 10 minutes, you were just like, come on, man, come on, boys. And then, New Plymouth came back with their own attack and their own scoring opportunities and making sure that they, finished off their sets. Then they played a lot more physical. I like Shea Portucker is honestly, he's out of position. I hope the Chiefs put him into hooker. And I actually think he's probably the best hooker in the country, playing number 8 though. And I hope that if they try him at hooker in the Chiefs, and he hasn't signed to league, I think he's going to be a very strong candidate for New Zealand secondary schools hooker. I would rate him over Tane Kolose from Rotorua Boys. I would also rate him over Junior from Wesley. And even... But the other one I like is Hendrix Taylor. I like him from Christ College as a hooker too. And he plays hooker number 8 sometimes, but I actually kind of like those two. As my hookers. Mind you, old Frank... sorry, man. Shoot, from King's High School, he's also playing really well. And he might be one to have, maybe a little bit on the outskirts, but he might be one to have a look at as well. But as of right now, Shea Portucker and Hendrix Taylor will probably, and Hendrix Taylor's from Christ College, those two will be another ones. Those will probably be, to me, the most leading ones at hooker. Nick Mooley's another one too from St. Peter's who I really like, and he played really well on Saturday too. But Shea, whenever Shea lifts for his team, and he's such a good leader, he's a lot more vocal now, and I like that about him because he's not really like that. He's never really been like that. And so for him to really take on that captaincy for New Plymouth, I think he's become a better player. And I think there's players where, and coaches do this sometimes, is that they don't normally give, or they won't give the best player on the team the captaincy because they want them to sort of focus on the game too and not sort of lose their edge that way. It just gives them free range to do what they're usually doing without having to do all the extra political stuff, going up to the ref and talking about this and talking about, inquiring of this stuff. But for Shea, it's really worked out, and I think that it's made him a better player and more responsible for how they perform as a team. And I like that a lot. And I think it's working. And they almost got it over Hamilton Boys as well. they as they started to get through a lot of their sets, you started to see them really match up in the rucks. They were cleaning out a lot faster with less numbers around the rucks, and quickly setting up their pods and not hesitating and just going. And so that was one thing that I really liked about it too, was that New Plymouth started playing a better brand of rugby, and it just started to work against Hamilton boys. And as they started to come back, then took the lead in the second half, and then the yellow card happened. Up to that point, they had Hamilton boys. They had control of the game, and Hamilton boys weren't really gearing up a lot of stuff to sort of switch it over until that yellow card came. And the yellow card was deserved. Like there's sometimes where I just does it really have to be like? But this one was reserved. He did deserve this one, and it wasn't. He wasn't trying to be malicious. It's just one of those things where you just overplay it, and and then Taylor got hurt a bit, but still carried on. Taha was still Taha in the way that he did for Hamilton boys, and so was Taylor Cahill. So, Ollie Mathis played a good game. Gabriel Robinson played a good game. Peyton Spencer, of course, played a good game again. And Hamilton boys have almost got it right, and they've almost got it all together. They play Palmy this coming week, and after this coming week, I think Palmy will be the only team that have them in that position where they are still kind of new. So if Palmy want a shot to beat them, I think it would be this next week. But after this weekend coming up, I think Hamilton will have the team that they want, playing the way that they want as well, and then knowing what their bench looks like. I think New Plymouth boys let one slip, and they really should have won this game. That's kind of how I feel about it. And Rotorua boys is in the same position where they probably should have lost to. Tauranga boys played better than them, outworked them a lot in the rucks, tearing them up in scrums. Like I said, Toby Taylor should have come over as after his year 11 year, or even before he hit year 11, because everyone knew he was good anyway, even when he was young, like as under 14, like everyone knew how good he was. And so he probably should have went over earlier, and then got not just the exposure, but like just the harder games to make him push himself around the field with harder games. Like, this would have been his third year of Super Rugby, and I hope that he gets an invitation to the under-18 so that he can at least get in there with the better props and then prove himself after missing so many, high-class games, which he should have been in a few years back. But I think I'm pretty positive that if they invite him in, he's going to show selectors how good he actually is. And I saw him as a year 11 and a year 12, and so this is probably the year that I've only seen him in 2 games now, but he looks a lot better and more confident and a better team where he doesn't have to do everything, which is kind of what he was doing for the past 2 years. And so that's I'm glad that I've been able to see Tauranga boys like that, and in a proper game, in a scenario like that. And Rotorua boys, looked their worst in that game, to be honest, and I've seen them a few times already this year, and they just looked so bad. It just didn't look like the team that I was used to seeing, and so I was kind of disappointed in the way that they played, even though they got the win, and they're lucky that Keys had a good kick that day, and it worked out right for them, I think. And I'm not saying they're not a better, because I still think Rotorua is a better team than Tauranga boys, but on that day, I think they should have lost. And they should have lost that Moeska Cup. It should have been on the move to Tauranga boys. But They made a play at the end and then he kicked it over. It doesn't really question. I don't really. It doesn't make me question how good they are. It's not that at all, because I still think that they have a good enough team to beat Hamilton boys. It just depends of what. It depends what Rotorua boys is going to show up to that Hamilton boys game, and how confident they're going to be when they show up. Because if you live in this region, the pathway to the top 4 is through Hamilton boys, and everybody knows it here. That's why everyone kind of hates them, and most honestly why I hate them too, ever since I was at school. It's the same thing as that. Like, if you want to get anywhere, you got to go past Hamilton boys, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do something like that. So for me, it's like, well, are they going to turn up with the team that can drop, an easy 25 to 30 points, or are they going to be the team that gets outworked at the breakdown, or doesn't front up at scrum time, or doesn't give their backs clean ball? Because I actually think that our Rotorua boys maybe have the best backline in the country. As a whole, I think that they have got every position pretty much covered with guys that are very capable at what they do in those positions. I think Kelston's the same. I think Hamilton boys is the same. I kind of like the looks of Silverstream's backline. I kind of like the look of what's their names? New Plymouth's backline. Napier boys' backline is kind of that same way. St. Kennigan's has a young, good backline that will be ready next year, not really this year. But if Rotorua have that time and have that time and I guess have that time from the forwards to be able to move forward with their set piece and their plays, then they're going to be a lot harder to stop. And I know that's really fundamental to say, but in this situation, it is true. Like, it is true. And so John Horua as well at second 5, like, giving him clean ball that he'll be able to get it to Armstrong or to Teota or York, or having Tume come up from the back at fullback and join into the line. If all those things are just based on the fact that they can get their ball out smoothly and the backs can move forward instead of trying to work from the back foot going forward, that's just a hard backline to stop. And not a lot of guys in the country, only a very few teams in the country can really stop that backline when they're given the right platform. So Rotorua boys need to find good opportunities and time and space for them to actually get their backs going, and because their backs are the ones that'll be scoring their points, not the forwards. They don't really have the forward pack to score points if it's not going through Tane Kolosio, who would be him, and Vito will probably be the other ones. Would be the only two that I would look at. Tama's a great platform guy, to run that ball. But other than that, those 3 in the forward pack will be the only ones. But those were 2 games, and I'm talking about them because the Chief teams, the Chiefs regions teams, and it was kind of disappointing just to see them like that as 2 top 5 teams in the country. Play against 2 other teams, but struggle, because I actually felt they were struggling. I felt Rotorua struggled, but I felt that Hamilton were messy. I felt they were messy, and I felt like the other one struggled. So to me, they've just got to really kind of fix those things up where it's needed. So I went to. I'll talk about the Howard game first, and guys were hitting me up after the game. Oh, you didn't tell us you were coming to Howard, which is like, yeah, I didn't really know what game I was going to first. I was trying to decide, what 1A game I was going to first. And it was based off my daughter because she had dance over in Howard, and so it was more about how long does it take for me to get from Maclean's College all the way to the Kelston boys and try and make it there in time before the St. Peter's crowd turn up and take the whole sideline, which they did, and which was pretty annoying because you can't really see anything. And so me and this white lady were kind of talking about it. It was just like, man, can everyone just move back behind the other line so that everybody can see? Like, we don't all have to move up. It's like, it sucks. It's cool having the atmosphere, but it sucks at the same time when you're trying to get footage for people that can't be there and show the rest of the country, what the talent elsewhere looks like. But now it just sounds like I'm moaning, but that's just how it was. But I went to Howick and I went to Maclean's, and it is a 1B competition, and it is what I expected from those levels. And this is just the honest side of it is that, and I've always looked at it, and I've said this before, like, it's not a secret, and I'm not trying to be mean to them at all, is that 1B teams have at least 4 to 5 players that can be 1A talent, but they're in 1B teams. And so, like, the good players are really, really good, but then there's heaps of gaps within the whole team that that's where the downfall kind of thing is. And so, and it was just the same as the ones that I saw on Saturdays, that there were guys that I looked at, I'd be like, oh yeah, he would look good in De La Salle, and he would look good in Kings. He'll be able to fill in the spot at Auckland Grammar. Like, he would go great at St. Peter's if he was there with this guy. And I kind of think about it like that when I watch some of these players. And so, like, that's kind of what I saw when I wanted to watch Howick and Maclean's. I saw 6 guys in the Howick team, which I thought would go well with some of the 1A players and Super 8 players and guys like that. And then I saw 3 that I really liked. 3 that I really liked in Maclean's that I thought would be really good players within the 1A or Super 8 or just the bigger schools. And I just kind of think about it that way. I'm not trying to demean them or anything like that. That's just kind of how I think about it. So that when it comes down to me trying to grade and rank players that I want to rank in those positions, I try and pull guys up and I'll be like, yeah, because I think that if he was in this team, he could go against that other guy who's ranked and he would do really well and he wouldn't drop the standard or anything like that. And so those were the kind of guys that I saw at this game, and it was really good. I mean, they still have they have good structure. It's just a bit slower, but the good players that stand out, they really stand out. It's kind of good when you see them like that. And I hope some of these guys that I saw in those games, it's just especially from those 2 teams, I hope a few of them get opportunities to get into that Blues under 18s, or maybe just try and give them a shot. I mean, to me, Xavier from Botany Downs would be the most definite player that they should look at for Blues under 18s, and maybe the best. I mean, I put him in my Blues under 18 team too. Maybe a good guy coming off the bench, and I think he'll be part of the sort of that A side for the Blues, and he's just such a big and strong player that, looking about 6'3", 6'4", and just great running style. And so, like, I hope he's one that sort of gets himself a shot. The other ones that I was looking at, and so that game for Howick and Maclean's, and I had to leave early, but I mean, some of those players, like the halfback I really liked from Howick, who I thought had a really, really tidy pass, real active and mobile, tackled pretty well. The hooker was another one that I liked from Howick, as well as the lock, the number 4, he had the black hair. He was another one that I really liked, along with the number 8, who I thought was good too. I thought they should have given the 8 a little bit more opportunities to set up some a foundation to go forward. Maybe getting him running off some props and stuff like that, and make sure that he's sort of that second phase just to get forward, and then you guys can just take your breaks from there, like make your breaks from there. Maybe work smaller instead of working the whole field. Like sometimes, and I've noticed this a lot, is that a lot of rugby teams are trying to spread the ball, but they get so caught up in spreading the ball that it just pretty much goes back and forth. It doesn't actually go to the side and for you to make meters up the field. You're just going from one side to the next, to the next, to the next, and some guys are not even changing direction, and everyone, then after a while, everyone just starts moving sideways, and there's no one that thinks, I got to straighten up, or someone's just got to go forward. If you find your team, and I'm talking to halfbacks, if you find your team just going side to side, stop the side to side stuff, and just focus on some forwards running off you, or pick and go, and just get some movement going up, even if they're small ones, at least they're just little ones at a time. And then start moving side to side, because sometimes it just gets so, everyone just gets so caught up, and then you end up dropping the ball, or stuff like that, or forward passes because you're trying to push it too much, and you haven't really made any meters, and you're pretty much just giving the ball right where you were standing. And so a lot of teams should start sort of thinking like that, and halfbacks and first fives should start realizing when things are not working and just take it into your own hands, kind of thing. I know the coaches have got directions, but sometimes the coaches in those moments cannot teach you what you're feeling. And if you're feeling like you're getting pushed back, take that feeling and run with it. And then you guys can just, take the growling after that, and then explain to them, well, we weren't doing anything or going anywhere. That kind of stuff. McCain's was a team that I really liked. I really thought that their number 8 was he played really well along with their first 5, and the other one that I liked was can't remember what number he was, but like I just think that they were just good solid players. And I mean, if you made a team of just a 1A division team, they would definitely be able to beat most of the 1A teams, because it'll be such a solid team. They'll be able to beat all of the way. Well, not all of them, but some of the 1A teams. But yeah, after that, I went over to Kelston, caught the game there. It was pretty much what I expected. Was just a really hard fought game. I liked the way that St. Peter's was playing. They weren't trying to be tough. They weren't trying to, bully them. They didn't back down, and they played and stuck to their structures and their game plan. And they almost pulled it off. They almost pulled it off right at the end, And but yeah, I think the other thing is that when you're trading, tries for penalties, most of the time you're not really going to win that. There's something about a celebration for a try that sticks around and gives you more confidence than a penalty kick that goes over. Regardless of how close you are in a game, you still feel like you're winning when you've got more tries on the board than penalties. But Kelston winning that game with players missing was somewhat surprising, but also reinforced how deep that team is, and how deep they can go within their rosters and still be strong. I mean, a lot of teams, and I've talked about this in other things before, and I'm honestly repeating myself, but you don't win first 15 games without a strong bench, because those last 10 minutes and bringing on a guy that's not prepared for those last 10 minutes and that cannot keep up is really going to suffer against guys that are already seasoned with it in that game, running hot, running on momentum, and then the guy that comes off the bench just doesn't pull up right, and yeah, they can end up, losing the game for you. And so that was kind of the situation that I thought that Kelston were in, was that they had some really key guys out, and then those guys that came off the bench and that filled in really did make a massive difference. And I think that it showed a lot. I mean, like that Cole Benson kid at number 10 was so good, and he made 3 clean breaks. Really confident going to the line and trusting in his instincts, and I kind of feel like the fact that Zion was there, Mo at second 5 and not at blind side, to me gave so much confidence to Cole Benson, because he knew that whatever happened, even if he made a mistake, Zion would be there and everything is going to be fine. Because Zion's that good that he can fix up those things, And then Xavier had a really good game at centre as well, and really put some pressure on. I think Bingy was the other one on the wing that was. And it's funny too, because if you see Bingy Slade is, I think he's a little bit taller than me, and I'm 6'5", and so he's probably like 6'5" and a little bit. But he's a rake. He's just so skinny. But you see his timing on the ball and the way he can challenge that line, and he's just a guy that is just like, he may look skinny, but I know that if I don't pull him down, he's still strong enough to push me off. And his fend is pretty strong that I've seen him use in preseason and that kind of stuff too. And he's such a good guy that plays on timing that, if Essendon is there, or Xavier and Essendon are there, and then he connects with them, you're not really going to stop him until he gets close down to your 22, and they've already made like a 30-meter break kind of thing. And I thought Bingy played really good as well, along with Dorian, who was playing at the back, at fullback as well. So Kelston were really playing this great game, and St. Peter's didn't have they didn't have anything to sort of answer it. They bit off little things at a time, but they didn't actually really make these meters up the field that they should have. And the one thing that I think about with that is that I don't like the fact that, and this is my own personal reasons, like this is what I've seen and what I think they should do at St. Peter's, and I see Jeremiah stuck at centre, and I mean he's stuck at centre because he doesn't have that free range of attacking options when he's playing at fullback. And I feel like that's what they're missing now, is that attack from the back that he gives, where he can look up and he can decide where he wants to run and what lane he wants to get into. And Jeremiah is so good and so big and fast and strong that whoever's in that back line on the opposition are going to be looking at him and thinking, holy crap, we have to stop him. But he's already at full, he's already at full tilt, which means that you may stop him, but he's going to drag you a bit. And even if you stop him, so much people are going to be focused on him that there are going to be gaps on the other sides of him. Jerry's so good that he can find those offloads. Now, this is where I look at it and go, well, if I was Jerry and then a ball got kicked down to me and I gather it up, I'm looking straight away at Salle and going, bro, come with me and be that other guy, because once I need you, I'll take everybody off. I'll take everyone's attention because everyone's going to watch Jerry anyway. And then you just wait for my pass. I'll take the hit, you just wait for my pass. And you can just be that constant threat every single time. And because then what it also does is that it makes you second guess wanting to kick yourself out of these positions, right? Like, you don't really want to kick to a fullback that's like Jerry. Like, how many fullbacks around there are 6'3" and run fast as hell and strong as hell, and pretty much every time he touches the ball, he makes a lot of meters. You don't really want to kick that down to him. Especially if your wingers, you kick it down and your winger's like, holy crap, man, why are you kicking it to him again? Look how big he is. I'm the one that has to tackle him. At some point, your wingers are not going to want to tackle him. And I'm not talking about like the soft or as like it's just wear and tear kind of thing. Like you've already kicked it down 3 or 4 times, and that same guy's had to go down and try to tackle him. The next time is that he's going to miss. And that time that he misses could be a try straight away because Jerry does that kind of stuff. Especially if he has someone like Salle who can take the second phase off him and go, yeah, I'll be right here. I'll be right here when this happens. And once those guys are tackling Jerry, he knows that Salle's going to be coming on the inside or outside when he wraps around or something like that. AJ's the same. AJ's smart enough to know it's just like, yeah, you kick it down. AJ's going to drop back and go, I'll give you an option. I mean, you could push out, what's his name? Jaeger is his name, the fullback now, the smaller white kid, who's good, and he gives you. I see him as a good bench player to bring on at the end. But the best thing about him is that he does nothing wrong, but he doesn't give what Jerry gives. And to me, Jerry's already got a reputation. Jerry's already got the strength, the speed, the power, the brains, the reputation of that everybody knows him. And the way that I was watching it yesterday, and I was thinking, well, if Zion's going to be at second 5, I'm going to push Jerry to the back and bring on Quincy was already on there. Presley and Quincy and my second 5 and centre, and have Jerry at the back and go, well, let's kick it. If they kick it down, I'll make Zion come and tackle me. I'll make sure that Zion sees that it's me and make sure he locks in on me. So that means that I take Zion out of the game. Because that's the other side of it too, right? Is that you have to look at their team and go, well, if I'm the superstar too, I know how dangerous Zion is because I've been seeing him my whole life in league and rugby and going, well, Zion's a tough guy. I'll make sure that he comes to me and make sure that I give him enough that he can go, that he has to fight with me to make my tackles, but I'm also going to look for my offloads. I'm also going to make sure that Salle knows that I'm going. I'm also going to make sure that AJ knows that I'm coming too, and Presley and Quincy can also work around that too, but at least I've taken out Zion because he's the danger guy. Zion's the danger guy. Zion's the guy that you don't want there either. And it's the same side on the other side, is that you just go, well, Zion's got the ball. It's like, yeah, we've got to make sure that we contain him because then he'll destroy our team if we let him run too much. So the way that I was thinking about it was the same thing. It was just like, well, let's use Jerry and give him all that freedom and time to sort of play with the options that he has, and we know that he's going to make meters, and we'll start our front ball with that guy straight away. And that's kind of the way that I was thinking about it. Like, they obviously St. Peter's have their own way of doing that. I'm not telling them to change it at all. I'm just saying this is how I've seen it. And I've seen him do it for year 11 and year 12. Playing from fullback. Making the Barbarians last year. And doing that same thing. So to me, it's just like, well... Because to me, it'll be like, it's a different... it would be different if I didn't have a centre. But to me, I feel like, and this is what I've observed over the past year, is that I've seen Quincy and I've seen Presley play. And to be honest, I would probably put Presley at second 5 and then Quincy out on centre. And then I would work it that way. And I'll just use Quincy's passing game and his decision making to go, okay, cool. And then I'll use Presley and be like, you just push up in the line. Let's just crash ball with you. Things like that. And I think that they would run a lot better that way. And that's just me. Obviously the coaches have their own ideas of how, I guess, the game plan that they've got. But that's the one that I feel like, from my observing from the sideline, which I think will be better. Just my opinion kind of thing. But that was such a tough game. Kelston still looked like the number 1 team in the country. And then some. And once Essendon and Jacob, who comes back, Jacob plays, 2 weeks or 3 weeks at Sacred Heart. That's his first game back. I don't know how they're going to use Jacob. And Jacob Laban came up from St. Bernard's on his own accord too. He just came up and, wanted to play more league and wanted to play better rugby. And so he's up there at Kelston Boys. And I don't even know if they're using him as a winger or as a loose forward, because he played number 8 throughout first team rugby down at St. Bernard's. And then I've seen them play him on the wing before. And I think he plays second row for league. And he's about 6'3", 6'4", and really strong, really fast, really mobile and athletic as well. And so it's going to be dangerous when he gets in there too. Tackle machine too. He's a young year 13 as well. So he has. If he comes back again next year, that'll be great too, as a young year 13. But yeah, they've got some guys that Kobe will be back too. Will be the other one too in that back line, so that would be pretty cool once you see that team together. De La Salle I saw for the first time, and I'll go to 2 more of their games by the end of the season. I really like watching De La Salle. It's my favourite school, I think. And just their forward pack is... they lost to Kings 33-25, and welcome back to Chicago as well. Chicago Doyle coming back from injury. I think this is his first game back from a broken wrist, I think it was, and so him coming back was cool to see and cool to watch him play, and pretty much just it didn't even look like he was away. He was still setting up tries and all that kind of stuff. But looking at De La Salle and the team that they've got is again just a lot of playmakers and athletic, mobile players that just know how to play hard. And the only thing that I didn't like was that a lot of them started playing. They didn't. I felt that they didn't follow their game plan, because they would play in sets and then just whenever they got momentum they just went into individual mode straight away. And I was thinking, and I was like getting frustrated. I was honestly getting frustrated because I like De La Salle and I like the players, and whenever I go to the school I love being at the school. It's just got a different feeling being at that school on their playground. And I was getting frustrated because they would be playing within a set structure, and then they would start making phases up the field. Then all of a sudden they just switch back into the individuals, and then they get caught up. And against a school like King's College, especially when you have someone like Shea around there and Dryce and even Brad Feeder at some point, and Matthew Monahan played a massive game too, and I thought he was good. The lock for Kings is that you can't just play individuals like that. You can't be an individual. Play an individual style anywhere in the country at a high first 15 level, because you're just going to get caught. And the only word that you're going to hear when that happens is ISO. Once you hear ISO, it's just like, oh, I'm getting the ball stolen, and that's what's happened because you went and Superman by yourself. De La Salle was doing that. After they set up these good structures and stuff, it's like they just forgot about it. Now my thing is just like, if they fix that up and they stay true to their game plan, which I think is their game plan because it worked first off, then it faded out, then it worked again when they started again. If they just stay to that, they can make the top 4. I think they're a good enough team with good enough players, and they're all younger players too. I think that they can make the top 4 if they stay within that structure that they start off with. And I don't know, I haven't talked to the coach or anything like that. But if he was watching the same thing as me and he's having the same feelings that I'm having, it's just like, then he knows that he's got a squad there that's going to win. And if these boys go back and watch the replay and then they can see those same things, is that all they need to do is start talking to each other and going, hey, we've still got to run through our structures. We've still got to run through our shape, not lose our shape, and start becoming individuals by yourselves. You can't just have these one-off runners. you guys have to be so supportive of each other and have these quick rucks that nobody can keep up with them because they move so fast. They're actually a really fast team, and they're a big, fast, bulky team, and one of the taller teams that I've seen in the past that De La Salle has had, along with Casanova as well. They have the Fa'afili kid and what's the number 6's name? Sorry, I'm spacing your name, bro, but those three are all around 6'3" to 6'4", 6'5", and all really good options in the lineup, which is something that De La Salle don't really have a lot of years, is that height that they're able to get these guys up. But now that they've got three of them, it does actually give them a lot of options because they don't have to now go with a full lineup. They can go a four-man lineup with three jumpers in there, and then obviously the jumpers become lifters as well, depending on what one you want to do. But that's the advantage that they have now. And I want to see them, and this is just my want. I'm not telling them to do what I'm telling them to do. Like, that's not the point of this. Is that I just want them to see and realize that there were a lot of points in this game where you guys were winning because you're playing with the structures that you guys came to play with, and against a good team like King's College, that's different, man. That is really different. So, what I'm saying is that if you guys can stick to the team structure, the play that you guys have been given, and just keep that going and not get too excited that you're making all these meters and still play as a team, I guarantee you guys are going to make top 4. And you're going to be a dangerous team. And De La Salle, to me, look like that team, if they get everything right, that can beat Kelston boys as well. Not just St. Peter's. Because I still actually think St. Peter's can beat Kelston boys with the team that they have. And De La Salle is kind of looking like the same. And because they've got a really good spread of players, like even Dimitrix, I think his name is the centre, him as well. Then you got Joe on the wing, who I really like a lot. What's his name? Halafihi, number 8. That front row is really big and strong, low set but good scrum, and like things like that. And I think that they've got a full team that can make that top 4. They just got to put it together, and I don't think they're far away either. They probably just have to sit down and have a look at it, and maybe have some film session. Maybe I don't know how much film sessions that those guys do at De La Salle, because I don't know what their training things are like, but if they don't do it, they should probably give it a try and just have a talk about it and just maybe be more mentally strong and going into it, just to reiterate what their plan is and just to keep it going, so that when they start feeling like they want to start playing one off, someone can regroup and go, hey, let's just keep to this, we'll keep going. And I think that they're going to be a really good team. The Hastings game that I watched against Palmy Boys was really, really good. And Cooper Flanders, he's got to move to number 7. And I hope in reps they're looking at him at number 7. I got word that they wanted to be at number 7 as well. And even for New Zealand secondary schools, is that they're looking at him for that. And to me, that only makes sense. I don't think there's a dominant number 7 in the country, but I think if there was going to be someone in that position, I think Cooper Flanders would be the guy that I would want to be there. And it's just his wide range of skills, from running the ball to lineouts to kicking to lifting to passing game to running game to just everything, his tackles, his getting over the ball. He's just got so much stuff that he can do, that he's just a great guy, a great player to build something around. And Cooper Flanders is to me, is like just one of those guys that's right up there now. And it's going to take a hard... He's not an easy guy to stop. He's just not an easy guy to stop or to to sort of lock down and make a game plan around, because he can hurt you in just so many different ways. But I thought that game was really good. I really enjoyed that one. Napier got away with one against Gisborne Boys, which I thought was, really interesting, sort of back and forth to watch. Silverstream ran really well. I mean, I know it's just against Hibs, but just the way that they ran, I thought was just awesome. The way that they were able to stick together and sort of complete all the stuff that they wanted to complete, and they played a lot of smart ball too, and I thought that was great. Even Scott's College, look, I was really impressed with them. Marlborough Boys is the one I was like, I can't believe it. And this is where like my argument too of sort of like, I think that when it comes to traditional games, especially when there's teams that you actually legitimately hate, I don't think rankings are part of it anymore. And that just sort of goes out the window. Because Marlborough Boys beat Nelson College last week, and then they got run over by Christ College 48-0. And it really, honestly, and I'm not trying to be sad, it maybe should have been a little bit more. And it's like emotionally, everything was drained out of that Marlborough Boys, because even the players that I like and that team did not actually play that well. And so I was thinking to myself, oh man, are they just so like, they're still not over last week and they're still stuck in that? I mean, that's happened all the time to teams. I mean, when I was at Church College, we lost to Waiuku. I mean, they did have a guy named, Stephen Donald, but he wasn't Stephen Donald back then, the one that we know. He was a solid player because he's the one that pretty much beat us, but we should have wiped the floor with him. We were still stuck in the fact that it was just like, oh, we should be smashing these guys. These guys were still stuck in the position of like, yeah, we had a massive win. Like, you beat one of the, the top teams in the country. I was like, yeah, but you still got another game here. Just like stay focused on that. I don't think they did. I don't think they came, because I don't actually believe that Christ College is 48 points better than Marlborough Boys. That's 100% not true. They are not better than them by 48 points. 48 points to 0. That's a lot of tries. That's a lot of chats behind the H's, bro. So like, I hope their next game is they figure it out. And they get it going by then, because they don't need another loss like that. I want to try and get a hold of that Otago Boys and John McGlashan one, because John McGlashan was up at halftime, and Otago really had to fight back. And that I guess that battle from those four down there from Southland, Otago, Kings High School, and John McGlashan is actually a lot tighter than we're probably expecting as well. And so John McGlashan's got something in it. This flipping this North Harbour comp as well is pretty annoying. How does Westlake lose to Manurewa lose to teams that they should be beating? And maybe I should just be more annoyed at Manurewa for how inconsistent they are with the players that they have. They've got such a great group of players, but they're just so inconsistent. They're so inconsistent when it's like they don't have to be. But it's kind of like they pick and choose when they want to play good. And there's teams that they've been playing that most of them say should just clean up. Like this game against Westlake Boys I expected it to be something like 28-26. Either way, I didn't know who was better than the other. But that the reflection of that game should be the same as them playing Whangarei Boys, or them playing, Takapuna, or, Rangitoto and that, and even Rosmini, where they should have just wiped them. But it's like they're not, and I don't know what it is. I mean, because they're such a good side, led by such a good player like Boston. They just have too many guys in that team to be struggling like that against some of these teams that are in North Harbour. And so, I don't know what game I'm going to go to next of theirs, but hopefully in the second half of the year they sort it out, and then they sort of find that spot that they want to be in performance-wise, and then they hold to that. Maybe this is going to be the change around that they won this game. And so, here's hoping anyway. Some other scores that were... Massey, 21-6 over Osmond. That's a pretty big one. The Sacred Heart and Auckland Grammar one, I guess that's the year for Auckland Grammar. I don't think there's a lot they can do to come back to make the top four with that. Sacred Heart pretty much just playing on that thread right now of being chopped too. Obviously, Mags having a big win over St. Kennigan's. That's another big one too. Lindisfarne they need to get their roses now, because that team is actually over, just performing way over the expectations of what a lot of us thought that they were going to be like. And they are actually a legitimate strong team, not just in the CNI, but also within the country. And there's a lot of teams that I would put them up against that I think that they can beat too. The Pukekohe Rosehill one I heard was a really good game. I really in all honesty, maybe I should have went and seen Pukekohe and Rosehill College. It was just too far. It just didn't work out because I had my daughter with me going to dance over there in Howick. But Pukekohe High School winning 32-12. I think Pukekohe is a legit top 50 team and maybe need more hard games, maybe in the holidays or something. But if they're going for the Co-Ed Cup, they should be able to play Manurewa in that. Maybe that would be a pretty good game too. What were the other big ones? Tikawiti's High School's on a pretty good run right now. Matamata College is also on a pretty big run. Winning wise. Pyro College is winning good too. I think they're still at the top of their one. Trident getting a big win. Taupo getting a big win as well. St. Pat's Town looking like they're back at it. Mana College was another good game that I watched too. I thought it was good. Wellington College putting up 73 points on Aotea College is such a big improvement, and I guess a big sign to who they are as a team. And 73 points is like the old school Wellington College and what everyone, I guess, have been waiting for them to get back to. So that's a pretty good sign. I really like that about them. The upset, that's right. Rangiora High School beating Shirley 34-17, and that's just, I don't know, that's just too much. That shouldn't have been like that, eh? So that's a pretty good win for Rangiora High School, who's been struggling these past weeks, and pretty much rebuilding. They are rebuilding. It's not, it's a hard thing to lose so many good players from a team and be able to stack them up as quickly as you can, and Rangiora is just doing that. So it's going to probably take this year for them to build another squad that is going to be competitive. But I've seen the under-15s clips before. Under-15s from last year were really good too. They have come into first 15, so they've got some guys stacked, and so it's gonna look pretty good after a while. Those are probably the main ones. Good win by Mount Aspiring over Waitaki Boys. That was probably another good one. Wakatupu losing to South Otago High School was probably a bit of a shame, because it was 57-14 over Wakatupu. It's just too big of a score that I thought Wakatupu should have done a lot more better than that. But it's been a pretty big week, pretty good week for First 15 rugby. The new rankings are going to be out soon. That's the school rankings, the top 200 rankings, and the top 100 Year 12 rankings as well. I've still got more write-ups. My Year 12 team is coming out, the mid-year Year 12 team, the mid-year Hurricanes, Crusaders, and Highlanders teams. These are just my ones. These aren't the official ones. It's just who I think have been playing really well so far. Other than that, I'm happy that my Jazz are still winning. They lost against the Clippers, but we'll win the next one, I'm pretty sure. I just got to say my prayers before I go to sleep. We'll look forward to next week, and I'm not too sure what game I'm going to. I think I might go to St. Peter's School, because I want to watch my nephew play under 14 or under 15s for Te Kuiti, and they play in Cambridge, so I think I might want to stay for that a little bit. And then support my little man's Peyton Sheehan. Big shout out to you because I love you so much, my little bro. Shout out to my nephew and his under 15s Te Kuiti school, under 15s team. And I'm looking forward to next week, and there's going to be some stuff. And then I've got some other little ideas for little clips for you guys with short attention spans. I don't know, I've been saying that for the past 3 or 4 weeks, but I think I've got some interesting stuff for you guys in that short attention span stuff. So wait for those videos. It's Hirsch Fruin, High School Top 200. Peace.